In recent years, the threat and fear of climate change has taken the world by storm. Communities across the globe have changed their consumptive patterns, recycling more frequently, using environmentally friendly shopping bags, and in one town, banning bottled water altogether. Increasingly, big businesses are directing their marketing towards establishing a cleaner, greener lifestyle as the primary industry sector makes a move toward organic farming. This looming prospect of environmental destruction has led to a push for governments to act, and to act now. In Australia, the Rudd government is in the midst of a battle to introduce its carbon pollution reduction scheme, and in turn, introduce its emissions trading scheme. But what exactly does this mean? What is the ETS and the CPRS? How much will it cost? Who will foot the bill? And what does it mean to the average Australian? I spoke to some university students to try and get a feel for how well they understood it, considering they are going to be the generation who are affected by it most.
Like CPRs, carbon pollution reduction scheme, is that it?
Very, very little. Has it been agreed upon yet?
My understanding of the emissions trading scheme is that the government wants to charge businesses for their carbon emissions, and yeah, that's pretty much it actually.
People are able to companies are able to buy passes to be allowed to emit carbon, and if they don't have enough things then they're not able to do that.
Wow. What is the actual scheme?
Professor Brian Andrews is a commerce lecturer from the University of Wollongong. He specialises in the cost and benefits of emissions trading schemes. I spoke with him to try and clear a few things up.
My own view is this: the oceans will be destroyed fairly soon unless we restrict our carbon output, because the oceans traditionally absorb most of the carbon that's been pumped into the atmosphere. We have viewed the oceans as an inexhaustible resource, and we have dumped so much rubbish in them over such a long period of time that this is one of the relatively soon consequences of the disaster that we could bring upon ourselves.
So how is it that an ETS will help to solve or reduce this problem? Professor Andrews explains.
But the basic idea is the government sets a cap on emissions and auctions permits to people who want to buy them, allocates free permits to other people for a range of political and economic reasons, and all of those permits have to be collected by the companies who bought them or had them allocated and surrendered at the end of the year to meet the level of their actual emissions.
So, in layperson's terms, the emissions trading scheme is the buying, selling and trading of carbon emissions that are ejected into the atmosphere. For example, if a company expels a tonne of carbon during the process of production, they will plant 1,000 trees to counteract their effect on the environment. So considering these, how much would an ETS cost just to set up? Professor Andrews explains the infrastructure behind this scheme.
A well-constructed and reputable emissions trading scheme can do the job, but that will require a trading floor, a relatively efficient market structure, it will require audit, it will require control, it will require management of emissions, it will require a whole range of accounting and engineering measurements of actual emissions, and the total cost of that is very high, probably of the order of $300 or $400 million to set up the infrastructure to manage it.
In a nutshell, the ETS is an emissions trading scheme, which is a market-based policy designed to reduce carbon emissions through the buying, selling and trading of credits or permits. As a result, levelling out emissions expelled. In the long run, theoretically, less carbon will be pumped into the atmosphere.